Over a year ago now, I almost lost my brother Sean to illness, a man in his early 40s with 3 kids. Many of you here and from all over were praying for him. Nothing that they were trying at the Abbey Hospital seemed to be working. His organs were failing, his white blood cell count was rising, and we were in shock.
Well, it was just a regular morning, but it was during the flood. And Rob got up and just like regular, made himself a cup of coffee, and he says, gee, I feel like I got pneumonia, like my chest feels kind of heavy. And I thought, I wonder if we should just go to Emerge and get you checked out. Maybe you've got pneumonia and they can give you some antibiotics. So we get into the triage, and the nurse is taking his blood pressure, and she has no blood pressure. And all of a sudden he's got all this pain that's coming from his chest down his arm.
So there's certain phone calls you never want to get as a parent. And when my son was 15 years old, I got one. When he phoned to tell me that he and his friend Riley Zacharias were lost, like just somewhere on Vetter Mountain. Earlier in the day, my wife had dropped them off to go mountain biking, and with it being such a beautiful day, they were just wearing, light jackets and shorts and t-shirts, which is fine on a spring afternoon. But as the day wore on and the sun went down, the temperatures were going down, and so I had my son. They sent me a pin location of where they were. We found out where we thought it was on the trail map. We told them how to get out, and my wife said that she would wait for them at the trailhead, that she'd let me know when either she found them or when she was worried. 8 o'clock that night, she got a hold of me and she said, they're still not here. What should I do? What should I do?
You are not hidden. There's never been a moment you were forgotten.
So all of a sudden they say, okay, we need to admit you into a bed. And he got monitored for 24 hours. I'm still thinking he's got pneumonia. But then I get a phone call the following day from Rob saying that they're going to air ambulance him into New West. That's where I got a little bit nervous. Met him at the airport, like he was transferred by ambulance with all the cables on him. And then from those cables, they get transferred to other cables to go onto the air ambulance. And it was actually when he started flying, started flying him away, that I was looking up at that helicopter, and I just realized that it's not pneumonia. There's something harder.
The situation was appearing more and more desperate. Sean needed the attention of specialists in this area, but the help wasn't to be found in Abbey or even St. Paul's. Thankfully, through the kids' school, they knew of a nurse that worked at VGH, and she was able to advocate for Sean to have a bed at VGH. And that was the beginning of an important step. The problem was that they didn't have the staffing required to do the ventilation in order to make the transport to VGH by ambulance.
Well, we ended up phoning the local area search and rescue team, and the leader of that team told us to phone 911, which we did immediately. So we called 911. 911 initiated the search and rescue process, and I left the meeting, as if I could concentrate on a board meeting when my son was lost on Vetter Mountain. I got to the mountain, and the police were already there, and over loudspeakers they were calling for Thomas and Riley to come to the sound of their voice. Search and rescue, they gathered, they had all their gear with them, and I showed them the map that we had of them and the pin that they gave us. And so the search and rescue team divided into 2 groups. One would search from the north, and the other one would search from the south or east and west, whatever it was, from 2 sides, because they had an idea of where they thought they would find them. And all I remember is seeing this team go off seeing this team go off in their 2 sets of rovers looking for my son. And I remember being so afraid because I didn't know if they were hurt. I didn't know if they were where we thought they were. I didn't know if they had mountain biked in the dark and gone head over heels and landed on a root or twisted an ankle or landed on, they were punctured and bleeding. I remember being terrified, wondering, where's my kid?
I hear you whisper
Thankfully, a transport team was put together thanks to prayers and amazing staff. In particular, there was one incredible nurse who stayed well past her scheduled 12-hour shift that day to help make the ventilation happen. And a tiny group, we were told, did the work of what would have normally been a much, much larger team. So we were so thankful. At one point, my brother started to crash even, but they were able to stabilize him. And we were told that Sean arrived at VGH with only 20% of life, and had the transport not happened, he would not have made it. So at VGH, they're able to try the right treatment and for his body to respond and for him to recover. I'm so thankful for the team of doctors, nurses, staff, paramedics, all who worked together so diligently, helped Sean to recover from this near-death experience. Our whole family thanks you from the bottom of our hearts. God works through you people each and every day to do amazing work here in our midst.
So, Rob did end up having a heart attack. He did not have pneumonia. While he was in New West, they had an angiogram done, and he had 5 stents put in. And then later on in the year, they wanted him to go back for another angiogram, and he had another 6. So he has a total of 11. He might be the winner. We just wanted to he's doing so well now. He's doing really good. Works out every day. He's doing very well. But I really, really want to thank our medical professionals, the paramedics, the air people. They're just so professional, and very, very grateful for them. Thank you.
40 minutes went by, and with joy I saw their 2 buggies, whatever they were, starting to come back with bikes on the back. And my kid and Riley Zacharias in with them. And I have never been more thankful in my entire life. We stood there and said thank you and goodbye to everyone who helped. And even to this day, I can only say thank you. So thank you.
I will send